This is the 2023 Ford Bronco Sport Heritage Limited, and it costs $46,000. 46 grand is a lot of money for a non-luxury compact crossover, but there are a few elements that make up this vehicle's price. First up is the design. Heritage and Bronco Sport Heritage Limited gets you this robin's egg blue paint color and white accents on the grille, steel wheels, roof, and rear script, along with a cursive Bronco logo on the driver's and front passengers' doors, and red Bronco text spelled out across the front grille. And then there's the capabilities. Limited in Bronco Sport Heritage Limited means that this Bronco Sport Heritage is based on the Bronco Sport Badlands and has some true off-road credibility. You get 27-inch all-terrain tires around these 17-inch steel wheels, four-wheel drive lock, a locking rear differential, trail control, which is a low-speed off-road cruise control, and 3 different off-road modes, including mud ruts, sand, and rock crawl. And this Sport Heritage Limited makes 250 horsepower from this 2-liter turbocharged 4-cylinder, which is 70 more horsepower than most Bronco Sports get with their 3-cylinder engines. And then there's the fact that Ford is only making 1,966 of these Ford Bronco Sport Heritage Limiteds to commemorate the original Ford Bronco. For 2024, if you want the heritage styling of this Bronco Sport Heritage, you can only get it in the lower tier Ford Bronco Sport Heritage, which is based roughly off of the Ford Bronco Sport Big Bend. That vehicle starts at $33,000, which seems a lot more reasonable, because even though this Bronco Sport Heritage Limited has all of those design elements and features I mentioned earlier, at $46,000 it also has a manual tailgate, halogen rear turn signals, door panels that seem to be about 60% scratchy black plastics, including the door handle itself, an 8-inch touchscreen, just under 37 inches of rear seat legroom. I am 6'2", but that's not a lot. All right, driving the Ford Bronco Sport Heritage Limited. You know, I'm actually really impressed by the way this car drives. First up is this engine. This 2-liter turbocharged 4-cylinder makes 250 horsepower, and that is plenty to move this car promptly and get anywhere you need to go. There's also a lot of difference in the drive modes. When you put this over into eco mode, it's actually quite doggy, I've noticed. If you're trying to accelerate uphill, you really have to push into the throttle, which is exactly what you're supposed to get out of an eco mode. In sport mode, it really hangs onto the revs, and when you put your foot down, you will go, because there is a lot of pep in this engine. It accelerates really well. It also doesn't sound terrible. Some 4-cylinders can sound really bad. This doesn't have a CVT, which also helps. But when you're in sport mode, you really will get going with the slightest push of your foot. And I've been driving in normal mode, which is a happy medium between eco and sport. I think they've really done a great job with the throttle mapping of those 3 modes. I haven't had a chance to take this car off-road and use all of its features, but it does seem to be very capable with 4-wheel drive lock, a locking rear differential, the trail control. Not that many people driving or buying this car are going to be using those off-road features, because again, for the same price as this Bronco Sport Heritage Limited, about $46,000, you could get a real 4-door Bronco, about black diamond or Outer Banks trim level, that will definitely be a lot more off-road capable than this car. So I don't think many people will be using the off-road features of this car, but they are there if you need them. And on the road, this car is really good. The ride is also very impressive. I think that's really aided by these 27-inch tires on this Heritage Limited model. You would also get 27-inch tires on a Bronco Sport Badlands, because this is based on the Badlands, and it's really smooth. I'm very impressed with how it rides and soaks up the road, and really you don't notice that many like jarring impacts, and it's just a pretty comfortable vehicle to drive. So I'm very impressed on that front. And I would say comfort and ease of use are really the defining characteristics of the Bronco Sport Heritage Limited. You just kind of get in and you go. It's super easy. The steering wheel feels nice to hold. The only things I really don't love about the interior of this car is the small screen, 8 inches. It just really looks small on this dash. It doesn't really fill up the dash. It does have full screen CarPlay, so that's great. It's what I've been using. You don't really need to worry about the native system. And the other thing I don't love about this interior is the rear seats. They're pretty small. You get a lot more space in something like a Toyota RAV4, a Honda CR-V. There's just not a lot of space in the back, but up front, driving the car, you know, it drives really well for a compact crossover. Great power, great ride, and the interior is comfortable. Yeah, another thing I don't love about this interior is it doesn't have cooled seats, which again, for $46,000, why doesn't it have cooled seats? And I'm especially surprised because this Heritage Limited has this really cool plaid patterning in the perforation of the seats. So you would think they're perforated leather seats, they should have cooled seat options, but this one at least doesn't have it. They're heated, but not cooled. I just think that would a little more justify this $46,000 price tag. Another thing to note is this 10 speaker Bang & Olufsen sound system. It's really good actually. 10 speakers doesn't seem like a lot in this day and age. You know, you can get like 24, 32 speaker systems. But this sound system is really good. Everything sounds really crisp and the bass is really good. I'm very impressed, and that definitely helps make this interior and driving experience feel a little more premium and help justify that higher cost. But yeah, just $46,000 again. I think that's too much money for this car. So that's the Ford Bronco Sport Heritage Limited. I genuinely think this car looks really cool, and I'm very impressed by the powertrain and the off-road capabilities, and it's overall a really easy and practical car to live with. Just $46,000 is too expensive, especially when you consider that for the same price, you could get a real four-door Bronco in the Black Diamond or even Outer Banks trim level. And that vehicle is definitely cooler. No matter how cool you make this Bronco Sport looks, a real Bronco is even cooler. I would really be interested in seeing the regular non-limited Ford Bronco Sport Heritage that starts at $33,000. I think that would be a very interesting vehicle. I would just want to drive that 3-cylinder engine to see if it's powerful enough. But thanks for watching. Like, comment, share, and subscribe, and I'll catch you guys in the next video.